Okay, we're off and running. All right, so it's my pleasure to introduce everybody to our speaker today, James Davis from the TSB Advisory. James is no stranger to the SMBiT Pro community. He's presented at our conferences and contributed greatly to helping our members, and we're thrilled to have him back again. So over to you, James.
Thanks, Vivian. Well, today we're going to talk about the future of the industry and try and give everyone information around what they should be thinking about and considering to transform their business for the future. And I'm going to share a bunch of tools as well of how we can take the information that I'm going to give at the start of this presentation and actually pragmatically go and do stuff about it. That's the thing that I care most about, is we need to execute on things, not just have all this information in our heads. And so what I'm going to start with is talk to us about the industry. Everyone knows who I am, but you might have noticed my shirt's changed since you probably last saw me in the community. Step back out. I'm running the TSB Advisory, which is focused on working with large and transforming partners. And why I'm sharing this thought leadership is to take what I'm doing in these leading edge partners and share it into digestible information so you guys can make decisions for your business, seeing what others are doing. And where I'm going to start is talking about the market change. Having seen all the partners, our industry, where the market's going, one of the things we're not doing very well in our businesses is looking externally. We're very focused on our internal operations and what we've always done, but the world's changing around us very rapidly. And if we're not meeting those needs and adapting for the future, we're going to get left behind. And I don't want to see people left behind. I want to see people flourishing in the industry, helping their clients achieve great outcomes. And so what I want to share with you to kick off today is really understanding the major trends affecting our industry. And here's this real 6 major trends we've been seeing for the last couple of years that are increasingly ramping up, that are really affecting our ability to keep growing and flourishing. I'll start with the increasing cyber requirements. Everyone's aware of this, where cybercrime keeps going up. Our businesses that have been traditionally IT support and infrastructure management, we've been having to adapt to meet those needs for the SMB space from a cyber perspective, and that's been really stretching us. But that's only been one thing that's been going on over the last couple of years that are affecting our businesses, but it's the one that's spoken about the most. Because for us, a lot of us, it's the easiest place to default to. It can be a lot more technical. We can sell some more technical controls through some SaaS applications, and it really feels like a bolt-on to what we've always traditionally done. But as partners have been starting to do that, they've started to realize it's not just a simple bolt-on, and it's requiring us to actually transform a lot of our approaches, the way that we engage clients, the conversations that we're having. If we're focused on the technical stuff, most partners aren't getting traction with the clients. We're the ones that are evolving themselves and elevating themselves to at an advisory level position and coming from a business level discussion perspective, talking about risk, talking about opportunity for their clients to grow and increase efficiency. They're having a lot better traction with cyber, because it becomes a lot more of an outcome-based thing than a bolt-on. We're seeing client needs are dramatically changing. What they needed in the past and the value that we brought around fixing broken things, they're wanting to leverage things like AI, SaaS applications. They're trying to increase their efficiencies. They're trying to grow. But the demographics of those clients are also changing. Predominantly, most businesses were owned by baby boomers. They're exiting out of their businesses. there's a lot more millennial business owners and decision makers, and their buying behaviors are way different to the baby boomers of the past. But most of us aren't adapting to that and aren't seeing that. We keep defaulting to the ways we've always done it. As an example, we keep driving people to the phone and email to leverage support, where millennials and Gen Zs are a lot more predisposed to leveraging things like chat. They want to be self-service. They don't need the kind of support in the past. They need enablement. So we need to think about what's going on that side. Urges and acquisitions, I mentioned already, our clients are going through a bunch of those. So a lot of our anchor clients in the average partner that's been around for quite a while, those baby boomers are exiting, larger businesses are buying them out, we're losing those clients. But it's also happening in our industry. The partner businesses, where most of us are older owners and we're exiting. So we're selling into the larger MSPs, and that's driving a lot of activity, which I'll touch on soon. But it's also the constant issues that we have around the vendor side as they keep acquiring and they go IPO and almost changes. We're not understanding that landscape, and because we don't have strong plans in our own business, we're sort of at the whim of these changes that are going on in the industry. The commoditization of traditional offerings, that's impacting our ability to charge the premium prices and drive strong margins on what we've traditionally done, that end user support and infrastructure management. Those larger, more mature partners are able to deliver the same exact services that we're all providing, but at much more cost-effective rates, because they've got the economy of scale. They're investing in automation. They're able to push work and functions over offshored to have cheaper labor to deliver the same things. But also the changing client needs. Technology isn't breaking as much, and when it does, we don't have as much control as we traditionally did. There's a lot less on-prem technology. It's predominantly SaaS applications and the internet providers. We're becoming a lot more around third-party vendor management than we can just fix the things ourselves. That's also driving the lack of technical skills as a lot of technology becomes a lot more specialized. So us as that traditional generalist managed service provider that can just fix most things, actually we can't. Things like networking skills are disappearing from the traditional MSP market because there's not enough of it. And when there is, when it is there, it's actually quite complex. So the type of people that are those old school network engineers, they don't want to work in our part of the industry. They'll go work for specialist networking partners. So there's a lot of change there. Inflationary pressures continue to ramp up. And what I mean by that is it's not just our direct costs, like our wages that keep going up, even though they're starting to more flatline and normalize, which is great. It's the fact that things like our SaaS tools that we resell, the systems that we buy to operate our business keep going up year after year after year. It's shrinking our margins because we're not managing our prices to our clients, and we're not managing our costs either. We're not predicting that things are going to rise by 5-10% each and every year. And those inflationary pressures are real because we're starting to see margins shrink and continue to shrink, and prices aren't going up. So without that investment into automation, offshoring, problem management, all these other things to increase our efficiency, all we're doing is staying the same and not making as much money, which is a dangerous place to be when the industry is already only averaging 6% EBITDA. And about 25% of the industry is operating at break even or a loss. It should be a big wake up call. And then the final one I want to highlight is, while this is all going on, I've mentioned it in a few other places, is increasing client churn. I'm seeing over probably the last three to 4 years, that client churn has been the highest it's ever been. And each year, the rate of client churn is increasing. That old school attitude of we could land a client and we could have them for 10, 20 years. Well, those clients are starting to exit out of their businesses, like I highlighted. But the change in the way that, say, millennials make buying decisions, they're unlikely to stay that long without that continual additional value year on year on year. And that's where a lot of us as a traditional MSP, we've always been focused on creating a status quo. Let's just clean things up, create some stability, and we'll make our money off the long term by doing that. But that's not what our clients' businesses need. That's not what the technology landscape looks like anymore. We need to be constantly creating new value, keep driving, keep going up maturity levels as we take our clients on those journeys. And that's a very different way of operating than what we've traditionally been used to. Even though we feel like we've been adapting quite a lot, really the industry hasn't changed for probably the last 10 years. There's been some changes with technology, but the business and operating model has all been fairly similar. And this is where we're going to need to understand how to actually go about this. What do you need to know from your perspective for your business? What are you going to do about these challenges? And this is part of the overall theme of today, and another session that Puz is going to do with the lead up to our workshop before pre the conference, is we need to transform or exit. If you're looking at these trends and going, oh, it sounds like a lot, I don't have the energy for this, well, maybe you need to think about exiting. If you're thinking and seeing this and going, actually, I need to be around for the next 5, 10 years plus, I've got that next horizon, well, you need to adapt to these changes. I'm not going to say that your business is going to die, but you're probably going to shrink and consolidate. There's still computer shops out there. There's still old school resellers that haven't adapted. Business models can survive, but I'm not sure that I'd choose the option to just survive. I want you, as you go through these other sections and I start talking about more things, is understanding that deliberate decision that you should make, transform or exit. And before I move on, I'll get Vivian to just stop the recording. I'll throw it out there. Does anyone have any questions they want to ask before I move on to the next